the last one, we discovered that we did something incredibly stupid. And we dug out 7 chunks down to Y level 0. For absolutely no reason, because where the slime chunk actually is like 200 blocks in that direction. Yeah, I messed up. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. This is the Fat White Knight coming to you. No, we're not live. Coming to you from another episode here on our hardcore survival totemless world. And we are working on Seraph's Embrace. We always are working on Seraph's Embrace. It's a long project here that we are giving our all and trying to make as grandiose as possible, while also trying our best not to expand it, though we all know that is not the case, and we are going to continue freaking expanding it because that is what we do here on this channel. We say things, we do things, and then we're like, oh, we're not going to expand the size of this. And then lo and behold, guess what? We freaking expand the size. So if you were wondering about that clip that I have at the start there, I was introducing a live stream when I said those words. You heard it here, you heard it there. Dug out 7 chunks from like 66, 67 to 0 for literally no reason, because there isn't a single slime chunk within those 7 chunks that we dug out. So, obviously, for lack of a better word, we fucked up. We did. And that is a-okay. We will resolve it, and we'll eventually figure out something in which to put in that magnificent hole that we have made. And I'm thinking most likely it'll be a combination of iron farms and villagers in which to trade said iron, I think. That'll probably be what we're going to go with, but I don't know. We'll figure it out, though. It's not that big of a deal. I think we can stack multiple iron farms on top of each other, though, and that should allow us to get all the iron we need to make more beacons, because, as you know, I really hate moving beacons. And it'd just be nice to have a supply where I can just build another one and keep all the rest that I have until the project is done, of course, and then we'll remove them. But as there is still much to get rid of here in this project, I feel it's probably in our best interest that we do that. I was also contemplating getting some kind of maybe a pumpkin farm in there, or we make like a massive sugarcane farm and we use that route to get emeralds. As you may or may not know, we used a string duplicator at the start of this world, and for like 300 or 400 days into this world, as our source of emeralds. Every emerald that we obtained came directly from that, and it allowed us to easily do things that we needed to. Get all the books, get all the food, get the tools, the armor, all of the emerald-related items that we needed in a very cheap and easy-to-function way. However, at some point, I don't know when, but at some point, they changed it. They fixed that duplication glitch in the game. And now we are bone dry on the amount of emeralds that we have. I think I literally have about 16 emeralds to my name at this given time. Granted, there is still some things that we could do to get a little bit more supply of emerald at this moment. And I'm not talking like crazy amounts, but we should be able to get enough where we can survive for at least a little longer without said crazy emerald generation. So we're really going to need to address this because we're running low. And at the time this video or this live stream was put out, I do believe Many, like 200 or 300 Minecraft days have passed at this time. That's kind of how far ahead I am. But I've been trying to do this one big thing, and I'm trying real hard to get through it. But it is a lot of work to dig all of this out and to do all the things that I need to do for the video's sake. And as many of you, or as some of you who don't know me know, I have crazy ADHD where I can't really focus on a single project. So I kind of bounce around to a bunch of different projects, and as a result, things get done, but very, very freaking slowly. That's what I will say. And it's always been that way. It probably always will be that way. There's things that I want to complete, but my brain's like, no, no, no. Distraction. Whether it's a cave, whether it's digging out something, whether it's going to repair some tools, making more tools, whether it's making a farm or building some trees. It just is completely random and arbitrary of when and what I decide to do. And, you just got to deal with that because that's never going to change. I have the ADHD and I cannot stop it, for lack of a better word. I just have to roll with it, and eventually things do get done, so it's not that big of a deal. But it just takes a roundabout way of getting to them, and we'll try to make a lot of progress here. I've been saying that for a couple weeks here, but I am really trying to make progress. I've been grinding as much as I can, and it is what it is, right? Anywho, so in case you were wondering what we're actually freaking doing here, why are we digging this out? Now that the 7 chunks down there are fully dug out, why are we digging out the surrounding area of it? Well, me and my infinite wisdom decided that Seraph's Embrace was not really on an island. And I had carved out a little river you can see before us right now. It was very small, like 10, 15 blocks across, give or take. Not too big, not too grandiose, right? But I've decided that I wanted to expand that by a little bit. And by a little, I mean 150 or 175 blocks in diameter. So, instead of having this measly 10 to 15 block river, we're going to have this massive 180 to 200 block gap here where we're going to build a large bridge over and start expanding in that direction. As many of you know, and I really hate saying that phrase, but we have some rules here, and one of those is all of our bases must be connected. So I am building this large and in charge river slash bridge so that we can connect to the other side and make it a continuance of our world and follow our rule to connect everything in a way that we need to. I think it's very important, and if we don't do that, we will be in a lot of trouble. And it just won't look right. The scale and everything that we've got going on here will not freaking look right, and we can't have that. So, I've decided to build a custom river, and I haven't decided quite what we're going to do with it yet. But I am erring on the side of caution and possibly may do a glass gigantic river in there. That way we can make waves and rocks and large things and just make it look super, super cool. Because it kind of needs to be where it is. We also need to have jagged cliffs hanging through the side of it, and part of the bridge is going to be then into a hillside where we can have and make it look very cool because it will be protruding out of the cliff that we have there. Plus, I like building cliffs. Build a lot of them. That's what we're doing right this freaking second, to be exact. And it should be pretty cool in the end when we have all of these cliffs and we have everything detailed out. But obviously, we are still very, very far from that point. So, with that, I just need to take a quick speech break, and we'll be right back. And just like that, we have returned. For those of you who probably cannot tell, I am a little bit under the weather. Been fighting a nasty flu for the better part of a week and a half now or so, of which I have had like all the freaking symptoms: hot flashes, cold chills, sore throat, coughing, runny nose, stuffed nose, body aches, you name it, I have been experiencing it. Been a world of fun. Been pumping myself full of emergency once a day. Been trying to do some tea, been trying to take really hot showers to sweat it out, having hot sauce in my soup. I've tried it. I have done all of the things that I normally do, including like taking a zinc whenever I get sick to try and recover my sickness because my goodness, I it is very hard to function and work while you are under the prelude of sickness, and I do not enjoy it. Obviously, no one enjoys it, but I would say on average, I particularly do not enjoy it. Anywho, what we're doing is building up a little bit of a mountain here. It's going to be pretty tall, and it's going to look bland for quite some time, I would say. We got to get the shape right first, and then once we get the shape, or the height rather, that's when I go back and we are going to add a lot of scaffolding, basically. Once we add the scaffolding to it, then we're able to go back and fill in the scaffolding, and then it will start to look more like a mountain than just a sheet of stone here, which is what it's going to look like for quite some time. We're doing this for one pure fact, though, and that is if we don't do it like this, it's going to look really odd and really weird. This is just my process of how we build them. And I just wanted to kind of show you guys that on the back end here. What we do often is take what we're doing, we break it down into smaller pieces that can kind of function with my crazy brain. So, in order to do that, first things first, like we want to show you just how tall this structure needs to be. And so what we've done is starting to lay out, hey, we probably want to go this high, XYZ high. Then we do the little bit of the scaffolding. We draw lines from the bottom to the top so that we can make some kind of crafted mountainscape that we've got going on in there. Once we have the mountainscape, at least the scaffolding of it, then we go back in, we start to add the fill. Once we add the fill, we go back and we refine. Then we go back, we add in a different level of block palettes in there. So a lot of it will be stone, but we'll add a lot of texture in big portions of it so that you can tell that it is some kind of mountain or hill or that it has been there for a long time, depending on what we're going for. Then we go back and we add the little bits of dirt, then the details, and then we finally finish by sculpting the landscape around it to make it seem like it belongs there instead of just abruptly starting there. It seems like a long process to go through all of these things. However, due to the fact that I do not do any building in creative mode, it's kind of necessary for me to see the full picture. It does take a lot longer, but I also don't want to build something in creative and copy it verbatim too. That just seems awful and time consuming as well. Both of them are time consuming, but I have reserve in the fact that I do it here without any template. I haven't drawn anything out. I haven't plotted how this city is going to look or anything like that other than making the roads in game here. I haven't done any of that. All of that is things that you probably should do when constructing a city, but are all things that I am not going to do. It's just not how it works. It's not the right feel that I'm going for. So many YouTubers use this. They'll plot out because they want to know exactly what they're doing. They'll either do it in creative or they'll just plot out everything and know where everything's going to go before they even start the actual project itself. And then it's obviously very easy to fill in once you know where you want everything to be. I don't like that method. I find it less fun for me because I have to plan. So what instead I just kind of wing it. I take everything that I've learned and everything that I've done and just kind of wing it. I throw the whole kitchen sink at it. Should there be a rock here? Should there be a hillside here? I don't know. I just put a feel for it and I do whatever it is I want to at that given time. And with that, it's just that simple. Do the filler and make it happen. So I did kind of plot, I guess, in thinking about it. I did build the houses first, and then I connected roads to all of the houses. However, I'm probably going to add at least 6 or 7 more houses into this, just because it feels like a tight community. And I want it to feel a little bit more vast and expansive than it currently does within the same within the same parameters. Excuse me. I don't know if you. I'm sure you could hear that, but my voice kind of gave out right there in trying to talk a little bit. It was very obnoxious. Trying so hard though. Taking my Tylenol and I'm chugging all my vitamin C and vitamin D. I'm trying to get back to healthy, you know. Anywho, I also just kind of sprawl things about too. So it's like I want a tree here. Let's put a tree here. Put tree here. And then once I put something into existence, it changes how I think that the base should look like in the end anyway. Because now I'm like, oh, there's a tree here. Well, if there's a tree here, then we need to make a path that goes around the tree. Or we need to have some rock or sediment around this tree, or we need to add more trees around this trees. Any of those things and all of those things definitely play a part. And then what we just do is make it feel right. And it feels right when I am walking around, not flying through it, walking around at ground level and trying to get a sense of scale with what we're doing. That means that we look up a lot. How big is that tree in correlation to us, the player? How big is that house in comparison to that tree? Which should be bigger? If the answer is that the tree is bigger, then you know that the scale of the forest itself are gigantic. You know, if the house is bigger, then the forest is large, but the highest thing or the biggest and tallest thing in there is that of the structure that was built by the player. Both of these things are incredibly important. You can do both, but you have to be very careful and sparingly with how you do both. Or you can stick to one of those two different methods to get what you need and achieve the right level of detail that you want. So, for example, I have some trees that are much larger than that of the houses. Why is that? Well, these are older trees and they need to make it feel like the player's house, the artificially made stuff, the house, the path, the church, all of those things need to be smaller than that of the forest in this case to give it the right sense of scale. It's just kind of how my brain works. I'm sure everyone does not think of it in this capacity, but as I've watched BWO for a very long time, I kind of have enveloped this from him specifically because he plays with size and texture and all of these things all the time, and it just makes it a much more interesting build, in my opinion. Secondly, you need to add life to the build. The more life you add to the build, the more it also looks better. So we can have a whole forest over here, but if there's no life, guess what? It's not going to look like that great of a build. However, you take birds and you put them up in trees. You put rabbits going around the forest. You put foxes going around the forest in a different part so that they don't eat the rabbits, and you have a few live animals, and then you make the road look like it's being utilized. You set up little characters, you set up merchants, you set up things that go all around our pathways and next to buildings to make it feel like it's actually alive. That is when you know that the build is actually done, when it feels alive instead of vacant, empty, and lifeless. But as I am sick, I think that will do it for me today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave a comment. I do respond and answer to every single one of them every day as soon as I see all of the notifications. And I appreciate each and every one of you watching. So thanks so much, and see you guys next time. Ciao.